Hi everybody, thank you for joining me today. Please don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give us a like, leave us some comments, and don't forget to share these videos. So today guys, we're going to be doing some test printing. As you can see here on my color gates, I have a graphic loaded from a customer. He wants us to print on some really thin polyester material. He also sent me an image of his graphic. So we're trying to reach this color. As you guys can see here on the email, it's a little lighter than what we have here on our color gate. So we're going to go ahead and adjust the settings just to make that as close to the image provided as possible. Now to do this, guys, we are going to go ahead and we're going to just go into our settings. First thing I'm going to be doing here is going to be a white polyester shirt. I'm going to do an A pass. I don't want to overlay too much ink on there so it doesn't make it too dark. I'm going to go ahead and go on my settings here. I'm going to go ahead and put my enhancer at 13%. And then I'm going to go to my color correction. So to make this a little lighter, I'm going to go ahead and start at 10% on the brightness, and I'm gonna lower the black curve down just tiny little bit. I'm gonna go from 100. I'm gonna try 95 just for our first trial here. Let's go ahead and see how that looks. So if I bring my image over, guys, you guys can see how it's a little bit close to it, you know? Actually, the image here looks a little darker. Well, that should print okay. So we're gonna try that first, see how that looks, guys. Okay, so now that we got this loaded, we're gonna go ahead and send this over to a printer, and we're gonna print on a test shirt first. We're gonna do a couple of prints just to make it match as close to what the customer is trying to reach as possible. And let's see what we get. Okay, guys, so let's go ahead and send this over to the printer, and then we'll go over there and see how it comes out. All right, guys, so my image is already loaded. It's gonna print right now. Now, just to give you guys an idea of what we're printing on, this is the material. If I put my hand on it, you guys can see that it's pretty transparent. So we're gonna see how this comes out on this plain white shirt that I put on there. Then after that, we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna do a couple of test prints, try to make that ink as light as possible, and try to reach the color that the customer wants before we actually print on their garments. Hopefully we get to a good print where he's gonna like it. So let's go ahead and switch for this print, guys, and then we'll do some changes on it and see if we can make this image a little lighter, make it more like the print he wants to have. All right, guys, so our print is done. So go ahead and take a look at it. So you guys can see that it does look nice and light. We do have a lot of the details still on there. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna increase the black just tiny little bit. We're gonna go from 95 to 100, see how that comes out. And then we'll put it side by side. We'll send the customer a picture of both of the images next to each other and see which one he likes. And then we'll test print on his material. Okay, guys, so let's go back over to the computer and we'll just go ahead and make those adjustments. Okay, guys, so we're back at the computer. We're going to go ahead and make that adjustment. We're going to go ahead and select our settings file here, and we're going to go to the settings. We're going to go ahead and bring this black curve back up to 100. And I forgot to mention, guys, but on my workflow, I did deselect the soft proof, so that's taken off mine. So let's go ahead and see how that changed. That's a little darker, so let's put it side by side, and then we're going to go ahead and run this print and see how it looks. So that's right there. Let's go ahead and run this print. Now, another tip, guys, I want to give you so you guys don't get too mixed up on what changes you're doing. You guys can also just go ahead and you can copy the image. So you right-click on the image file here, and then you're going to go to create a copy. So we're going to duplicate this. We're going to create a copy of this, and we're going to right-click on it again, and we're going to rename this. We're just going to leave the same name here and just add test 2. And we can go back to the top one right here, and we're going to go and rename this one. We're going to name this test 1. Okay, we're going to bring this over back towards the right here, and we're going to go ahead into the settings file, and we're going to go ahead and apply that correction that we did. We're going to set it back to 90 here, so that's going to give you guys 2 files here. That way you guys can see how you're changing the graphic. You guys can click from one file to the next and see the differences in them. All right, guys, so let's go ahead and send file number 2 to test, print this one, and let's see how that comes out. Alright guys, so we got our second print done. Let me go ahead and zoom in for you guys. And you guys can see this one over here is a second print. It does look a little darker. If you zoom into it, you can see more of the details inside the letter. So right there, you get pretty good detail, but on this one, you can see the details just a little bit better. Okay, so we're gonna go ahead and we're gonna run one more time, and then we're gonna increase the black a little more to see if we get some more details in that graphic. And then we'll send this over to the customer, see which one he likes, and we'll just print on his shirt. Okay guys, so we don't get confused on what test print we're doing, we're going to create a copy of this one. So again, we're going to go to duplicate. We're going to create a copy of it. Okay, once we got the copy of it, we're going to go ahead and rename this. Again, right click on it. We're going to rename. We're going to call this one test 3. And we're going to go into our settings files here. We're going to go to the settings, and we're just going to increase the black a tiny little bit. So we're going to go a little higher on the curve here. Just going to grab this little curve right there. There we go. Okay, so there we go. A little increase in that one. So now we're going to go ahead and press OK, and then OK again. And you guys can see how it got a little darker. So if I click test 1 to test 2, you guys can see how that got a little darker. I'm going to go ahead and put this one here under test 2 so we can compare them. And let's send this over to print. Alright guys, we're back at the printer. As you guys can see here, we got the 3 files printed. This one here is going to be test number 3. So if you guys look from 2 to 3, you can see it's a little darker. If I zoom more into it, you guys can see more of the detail in there. This one here looks a little lighter. Now just from my view, I kind of like 3 a little better than the rest of them. I'm going to go ahead and send this over to the customer, and we'll see what he thinks. And if he likes number 3, we'll go with that one. If he likes 2, we'll go with that one. If he likes 1, we'll go with that one. Now this is pretty cool guys, because you can actually do this with customers. So you get a customer that sends you a graphic, and before you send it out to him, you want to test print it. So that way when you send it to the customer, you can send him this graphic and be like, hey, you know, this is your graphic, regular standard settings. I adjusted the black here. I adjusted this over here. You know, which one do you like the best? So that'd be a good option for customers to actually get a good view of the print outcome, the quality of it. And then that way the customer, you know, can choose the one he likes the best. All right, guys, so I'm gonna go ahead and send this out. Then we're gonna test print on his shirt. I'll show you guys in a minute how this comes out. And then we'll go from there. All right, guys, well, thank you for joining me again. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel, give us a like, leave us some comments, and don't forget to share these videos. And see you guys next time.